President Cyril Ramaphosa has been under considerable pressure over the past couple of months, particularly since the Phala Phala Farm scandal. His leadership has come under scrutiny, and there have been questions about his ability to fight corruption too. For more on what the president should focus on in his speech tonight, we're joined by Khanya Vilakazi, a political analyst based at the University of Mpumalanga. Very good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time. All eyes will be on the president this evening. Expectations are high, and for some, not so much, because one civil society group has now referred to tonight's address as a state of destruction speech, saying South Africa isn't capable at this stage of providing any solutions to the struggle of the working people and the poor. What's your take?
Morning, Paul. I think it's actually quite sad that for the past 5 SONAs that President Cyril Ramaphosa has delivered, it has been nothing more than dreams, hopes, and aspirations. I think the one thing that the president lacks in delivering a state of a nation is actually having an analytical view of where the state currently sits and what are the solutions moving forward. So I find it quite fitting for civil society to see it as nothing more than a tick-box exercise that the state needs to go through.
So as the president prepares to deliver government's plans for the next 5 years, what will you be looking out for?
I'd honestly like to see what does he want to say about the unemployment? What is he going to say about the crime rate? What is he going to say about the general dilapidation of the country in its entirety? And all of these things are things that are bread and butter issues. These are things that as a country we need to know where we are. And unfortunately, the president seems to never have an account of what he said in the previous State of the Nation and giving us a direction in terms of how far we've come on things that he has promised and how further do we need to go. So in most State of the Nation addresses that he's made, yet again, it's been nothing more than aspirational from him.
And as he prepares to address the nation, he essentially addresses a nation that's been demoralized not only by load shedding. I mean, you make mention of the frightening levels of unemployment, but there's also the collapse of basic services. Just this month, Gauteng residents, for instance, had to bear the crippling impact of load shedding. Taps ran dry in the city of Joburg and Tshwane. Water experts have even said that water infrastructure challenges in South Africa are a ticking time bomb. Could we hear anything along the lines of perhaps a call on investment in infrastructure from the president this evening? Because that in itself is a dire situation.
Well, I think, Paul, as one that lived through such a hardship during December, I realized that load shedding does have a crippling effect on the country. And unfortunately, we have a president that when he made his first State of the Nation address in 2018, he did it when nobody in the country was facing load shedding. But towards the end of that year, 2018, we had about 12 days of load shedding, and it has skyrocketed until then. But now the thing is, load shedding affects not only people that are going to watch him, but the fact that when the electricity goes out, when it comes back, the reservoirs, they have things that trip, and therefore they cannot deliver water to people. And then that's when you get to see residents go on to the streets burning things because they live in utter frustration. This is not a state in terms of how a nation ought to grow. And this is the one thing that will plague his tenure as president.
People live in utter frustration, and they're also tired of empty promises. They want government to stop talking and now start doing, and also deliver a speech focused on realistic help for businesses, individuals who are left floundering by the stagnant economy and the collapse of Eskom and state services. What do you think it will take this time around? You speak about what has happened in the past, the previous State of the Nation address that President Cyril Ramaphosa has delivered. But this time around, what will it take for the president to be convincing?
I think timelines and a definite show in terms of when, how, who, and how to go about doing things. Because it doesn't help saying that there's going to be a smart city, we're going to improve infrastructure, without saying this is a project that is passed, this is the timeline of this project, this is who's going to do it, and this is how long it's going to last. All of those things are things that are going to restore confidence in us as the public, in terms of saying the president actually knows what he's talking about. The president actually is committing himself to certain deadlines, which we as society can hold him down to. But up until then, if he does not say those things that we can lock him down to, then it's nothing more than an aspirational speech.
The EFF has threatened to disrupt this evening's procedures. How much significance or how much of an impact do you think that will have as the address is set to get underway?
Well, I think since 2014, it's been expected that the EFF will disrupt Parliament. So it's nothing more than an expectation of a 20 to 30 minute delay, unfortunately, until the president is able to speak. But now the thing is, what are the repercussions in terms of delaying the president from speaking? What is that going to achieve in its entirety? However, we all know that society feels as if somebody disrupting him is a way of him knowing that what he's doing is not accepted by the general public.
Because that in itself speaks to the elephant in the room, the Phala Phala issue. Still a lot of questions around that.
True. I think the biggest factor, and I'd like to squarely put this on the ANC, was not to allow this Section 89 process to continue, because if it had established a committee, a subcommittee that actually investigated what happened in Phala Phala, he himself as president would have been absolved if the truth was he knew nothing about it. But the fact that he hid behind his political party, and the fact that his political party took a private matter and made it a political statement, that alone taints him as somebody that he himself perceived himself as being clean, and the media portrayed him as a person that is clean. However, now since Phala Phala happened, it then leaves a stain on the type of ethical government that he's running. Yeah.
Very well. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time. Thanks for weighing in on this. The University of Mpumalanga's political analyst, Khanya Vilakazi, speaking, of course, ahead of the State of the Nation address this evening. What's at stake? What are the expectations? And, of course, how much significance will the address have?